that occasionally. So this is part two of the Mindset Toolbox, and this week is about motivation. I'm going to briefly review last week. Oh, sorry, last week was motivation. Tonight is resistance. So quick review for motivation, but you can watch the whole thing in that replay that I showed before. And even when I watch or prepare these, I always learn new things. And so I like re-listening to them because it reminds me of things that I've experienced before and I thought were important enough to teach. So I'm always rediscovering new things for myself. These are some of the main points about motivation. We talked about goal setting and how to set your own personal goal for triathlon. Goals will have different sizes depending on the person. So just like your clothing, your goal should be the right size for you and not a goal that, I mean, you can borrow an idea from somebody else, but your goal should not be identical to somebody else's goal unless it's your twin and you have the exact same training history and the exact same schedules and the exact same athletic experiences and the exact same injury profile. Your goals are unique to what you want to accomplish, and they can be of any size. It can be to just cross the finish line. That's a perfectly appropriate goal. It can be to try and beat the person that beat you the last time. It can be to try and get on the podium. It can be to try and qualify for nationals, all different sizes. Your goal should stretch you a little bit. So Ed, I know you're debating. You can have a stretch goal for a sprint distance, and you can have a stretch goal for an Olympic distance, but those goals might look a little bit different. So as you get closer to the race, just think about what direction do you want to be stretched, and I'm sure you'll figure out what's
Mhm.
what's good for you. Um, Going a little bit beyond your comfort zone helps you maintain motivation. If the goal is too easy, something that you've easily accomplished before and you don't have any slightly bigger sight set, it can be actually harder to remain motivated. And when you're not motivated, you begin to miss planned training, and that results in a lack of consistency. And that's the biggest barrier to developing fitness and comfort with something like this. And then we talked about contingency planning with three different levels of goals, A, B, C goals. So let's just say that your goal is to finish your first sprint triathlon. Admitting a couple people here. Hello, iPhone. Your name isn't up, but welcome. Welcome, Luann. Um, Feel free to interrupt if you guys have questions. So ABC goals, let's say your goal is to just finish. An A goal would be, what would you be thrilled with? Well, I would be thrilled to finish the sprint triathlon while keeping my run pace at 13 minutes per mile or faster on average. Like I'd be really thrilled with that. That's actually true for me. If I did that, that would be great. I'm not a super fast runner. I would be happy if I finished my sprint triathlon with a total time that was, equal to or better than previous times. I'd be satisfied just to cross the finish line and to be, physically feeling okay, like different levels of goals, so that if something happens during your race that's out of your control, you still have a backup goal that you've already thought about that's already a success for you. Because the biggest killer for motivation and enjoyment is to have these negative thoughts that can start to intrude when the perspective shifts and it's not something that you've planned for. Doesn't mean that you need to plan for every single possibility, but it's more of a practice by setting ABC goals for yourself now. And you may not know what the targets are. They may just be complete guesses, which is fine, but you're actually practicing shifting your goals depending on the circumstances. And that's a skill to keep it positive and not let negative thoughts intrude if something goes wrong, like if you get a flat tire or if your goggles filled with water. It can be very easy to let the thought process start to spiral, like, oh, well, I'm never going to make this bike split now. And that's just going to make the race not fun. And it's going to make it very frustrating. So the more you practice contingency goals, the more you practice adjusting your goal as things move along, especially when they're things that are not in your control, the better you're going to be at maintaining positive motivation, which will help you continue your workouts, help you stay excited about the sport. Making your workouts or your activities related to your goal a routine rather than pure willpower. So, for example, I have been volunteering at Joella's triathlon camps most of the summer for her youth, which range from age 4 to she has 19 listed, but there are 23, 24-year-olds who are graduates from her program that are still racing. They help coach. And so I've been going up there. It's kind of a morning routine for me. I get up early, I go up, volunteer there for a couple hours, and then I come home and I work. And what I've been doing is attaching my planned workout to that trip. So depending on where the camp is that week, this current week they're at, I think it's Pine Valley Summer Camp. They've got a beautiful pool. It's beautiful rural setting. And so I've been swimming in the morning, or I've been biking with the kids in the afternoon. And so I'm attaching it to something that I'm already doing. And I'm much more likely to go and complete the swim if I know that I'm going to camp anyway. I'm going to go an hour early. Joella's expecting me to show up at 7 a.m. I'm going to bring her a chai latte because she's a friend and I like it when people do favors for me. All of those things make it much more likely that I'll actually go and do the workout. So attaching your workouts to something that you're already doing is more likely to be successful. And then the last bit, we talked about a mirror card. So writing these things down on a card or literally on the mirror with a wax pen or lipstick or a crayon. What's your goal? What's your ABC? Who are you going to tell about it? And, commit to one thing this week that you're going to do 100% because you've sort of set yourself up for success. Keep that front and center. You see it every morning or wherever you want it to be next to the coffee machine. All of these things help you be much more likely to reach the goals that you've set. So that was last week, motivation. This week, we're going to talk about resistance. Because once we set goals, we all are human, and all of these stories start to get popping up. Well, what about this? What about this? You have different parts of your brain and different parts of your personality and different parts of your history that are going to start protesting. Sorry, my dog's barking. Hey, buddy. Archie, come here. He drives me crazy. All right, let's move on. So what happens is that, as I said before to Alicia, hang on. Oh my gosh, she's so mad at me. Hi, you're so cute. All right, I know you're all dog people. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Um, let me see. Shai has a question here in the chat. I'm just going to read it real quick because she has to go to bed soon. How do you prepare for the bike ride? Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about today. So if you have to go to bed soon, you'll probably just have to watch the replay. If you can't find the replay, send me an email tomorrow or whenever you try. But that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But good job getting up there and giving it a try. So consistency is the most important thing. Once you set yourself a goal, some things start to happen where there might be fear of perfection or fear of failure. Well, fear of perfection. You might be a perfectionist. You want it to go perfectly. You might be afraid of not doing it correctly. You might be afraid of looking silly. You might be afraid that your equipment isn't right or that people are going to judge you for whatever reason. I mean, there's all kinds of things that create fears, and you begin to entertain these different stories in your brain, which starts to create resistance. And a lot of times it's very subtle. It's kind of on a subconscious level, may not even be aware of it, because what we're used to doing in the rest of our lives, how you approach one thing is how you approach everything. So some people are, wired to be happier than other people, but it doesn't mean that you can't learn how to be a happy person. You need to recognize those thought processes that contribute to feelings of being less happy and practice the ones that are scientifically proven to help make you more happy. Same thing goes for motivation, consistency. It's not so much a matter of willpower. like I just mentioned in the previous slide, but it's a matter of recognizing the conversations that might be going on in your head, recognizing that there's a story attached to that conversation. So, an example of a story might be, I'm afraid of showing up for this group ride because I don't think I can keep up with them. Um, and the story might be when I was in high school, I used to try and play group sports and gym, and I always got tired before everybody else. Or, could be some other incident as an adult. I showed up for a group ride one time and I couldn't keep up, and then I got lost and it was raining and I couldn't get back to my car, and I was afraid that my husband or children or parent was going to be worried about me. And it just creates this history that's so embedded in your, just how you approach the world that you might even recognize that that's happening. So there's a story and you've attached some meaning to it. And these are going to be different for everybody. I'm not saying that every single person has major issues or things that are holding them back. But to some degree, the things that have gone on throughout your life are going to influence how you think about things that you're planning or things that are coming up. And so that can result in avoidance, and then you miss workouts, and then you don't have like consistency. And so it's kind of a self-fulfilling cycle that we want to learn how to break. So these are some examples. I had mentioned some of these already. Fear of failure. Fear of success sounds kind of silly, but it does happen. Um, Sometimes people have success at something because they had no expectations about what the outcome might be. You showed up to meet your friends and, I don't know, played basketball your first week of college. This actually happened to me. I showed up to play basketball, and I was playing with the women's and men's basketball teams. I didn't realize who these people were. It was my first week of college. And I had lived on the same floor as some of the girls, and they invited me up to the gym. And I just thought we were hanging out to play basketball. And I didn't realize who I was playing with. And so I'm out there on the court. I'm shorter than everyone. Hang on, guys. All right, he's outside now. I'm shorter than everyone, and I'm like, who are all these people? They're really, really good. And I'm passing the ball, and I'm making good passes, and I shoot a three-pointer. I played a little bit of intramural, and it was so much fun. And then I realized, holy cow, I'm playing with the basketball teams. And then I never went back to do anything else with them because I felt stupid. Like I felt silly. Like that was just pure luck. I'm going to make a fool of myself if I show up again. So I had this success. It was a really fun pickup game, but I didn't have any explanation for it. It was just a good day, and I didn't need an explanation. You don't need to come up with a reason why something went well for you. Um, the lower the expectations are about the outcome, the more likely you're going to enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, the more likely you're going to continue doing it. Fear of discomfort. So this is something that happens to me a lot because uh, doing things physical result in a lot of discomfort, just, breathing hard, maybe muscles burning. You combine that with hanging out with a group of people that might be younger than you or more fit than you or faster than you sort of like double up, like, okay, I'm trying to keep up. I'm really tired. It makes my legs burn. I'm breathing hard. This just is not fun. So I don't want to do it. Um, you might have expectations that you have of yourself. Maybe you were once a really good athlete and now it's 20 years later and you've gained weight and you haven't worked out a lot, and you just feel like, well, if I can't be as, cream of the crop like I was in high school, or if I can't be, the top 10% of my peers, I just don't want to do it. But the only way to get there is by going through all the steps and maintaining the consistency and seeing those slow improvements. And then sort of like I don't think that should be fear of proving, but me, feeling like you got lucky with that basketball story I just told. So, I mean, there's lots and lots of reasons. This is just a small sample of some of them. Have any of you guys ever experienced anything similar to this? Any stories that you guys that have popped into your head?
I'm actually experiencing that right now as I'm doing my swimming when the pool's like extra wavy because of the amount of people in it. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, am I going to be able to do this in the water, open water? So I'm already kind of there. And I'm like, no, you keep going. Like, I have to talk myself and just figure out a plan. That's right
Hmm.
now the biggest one that's like in my head because I can
Yeah.
swim,
Yeah.
but it's still like, in this situation. So it's more
Yeah.
about talking myself out of it.
Right. If you watch the replay from last week, we talked about uh, a lot of those types of thoughts, and I talked about a lot of specific um, tips, things that you can try. A lot of it is, well, sort of knowing what to do, but sort of how you think about what's happening while you're in the water. You need to be able to be calm enough to access skills that you've practiced.
Right.
So maybe I've given you a tip that was really, really helpful yesterday in the pool, but when you show up for the race, if you're not sort of calm and collected, you're not going to remember it if it's not something that you've practiced. So there's
Okay.
a lot of both of those types of things in the replay from last week.
Excellent.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anything to share?
Hmm. I mean, fear of looking stupid. I mean, that's always like, I mean, that in that life, doesn't everybody like feel that? Like in the age of social media, like you're gonna just stick out and be like this.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, I can relate to that. All right. I'm not going to pick on Luann. I know that she's
yeah.
probably got grandkids running around right now, but feel free to speak up if you like. So these are just examples. Again, they're just stories that may be going on in your head, and you might not be consciously aware that you're actually having this conversation. You may just be used to thinking a certain way, and this is normal to you. But um, I missed what's today, Thursday. Okay. Say I had two swims on the schedule for this week and I missed one, so at best I'll only get one in for the week. Well, I just do my one on the weekend, and now 6 days have gone by with zero swims. Um, and it's fine. It's not, I think there's a fine line between recognizing that, we're all adults with jobs and commitments and family. Uh, Wanting to do an activity that requires time and training. But at the same time, if you're telling yourself a story where you're talking yourself out of doing something that you really want to do, where does that fit in your scale of things that you're committed to and obligated to do? Um, I really enjoy going up and working with these kids at camp, but it's an hour drive each way at a minimum. If I have 3 hours of downtime when I'm at home, where I'm not committed to showing up for someone, it's very likely that I'm going to spend that, petting the dogs and maybe a little cleaning or maybe thinking about, gee, I really need to clean. And then the next thing to know, it's, an hour and a half left. I'll be like, okay, well, it's going to take me 20 minutes to get to the pool. So how much swimming could I get in? I could get in like 2,000 yards. Okay, so I'm going to spend 10 more minutes doing this, preparing a presentation. And they're like, wait, I forgot to account for how much time I need to get home before I start work. And before I know it, I've sort of talked myself out of doing anything. So, um, I don't know what thought process started that story, but that kind of thing happens with me all the time. I'm committed to volunteering with the kids because I love it. And when I show up for the kids, I'm much more likely to do something for myself while I'm there, even though it took 3 times as much time as if I had just gone to the pool at home, right? So looking at the things that you're already committed to doing, and just figuring out where things fit in. Um, a lot of people also stress that, maybe you've got a training plan, and if you can't follow it exactly, well, okay, I'm just not going to do it because I'm already behind. And with training plans, they're very arbitrary, especially if you download or purchase a 12-week plan. That plan doesn't know anything about your life or your commitments and what you need to do day to day, and it can't adjust with you. So through a lot of these webinars that I'm doing, what I have to do is give people some of the tools to make your own decisions. Well, what should I be doing? Okay, I missed this. It's not reasonable for me to do a 2 hour bike ride because maybe I get tired after 45 minutes or something like that. But what's reasonable for me to do and how do I go about doing that? You can be your own coach, even if you don't know anything about training, because you know your body better than anybody else. And so the rest of this evening is going to be about how to listen to your body and listen to the signals that it's giving you while you're exercising, so that you can make a decision, should I go a little harder? Should I go a little easier? And have the confidence that regardless of which choice you make, it's still going to help you progress towards your goal. And I think what's really important is that this is normal. Everybody experiences this. It always starts with some kind of a story and some kind of meaning that you're giving to that story. And that means that when we become aware of those stories, we can just make a decision. We can change the meaning. We can override the story, like, old-fashioned tape players where you had to rewind the tape and stop it and record over it. And sometimes you could still hear two things on one piece of tape, and the more you record over it, the fuzzier the old recording gets. It's the same sort of thing. Practice recognizing it, deciding what the story you do want it to is, deciding what's meaningful for you, and then practicing approaching it in a way that's going to help rewire the way you think about things. Elite athletes do not experience less avoidance than we do, or less they don't experience less friction necessarily. They have more tools on how to deal with it and how to overcome it. And they've practiced it for a long time. Again, going back to the kids camps that I do, imagine being a 4-year-old and going to summer camp, and you're there with kids who are, your older siblings, kids that are 9 years old. If you're 4, 9-year-olds are big, but you might look up to them. Teenagers might just be super scary. And every year these kids come back, and there's just this progression, and they get better and better at the sport because they keep showing up. They've got coaching, they've got support. So imagine the stories that one of these graduates of Joella's program, who's 23, might tell themselves if something comes up. They're way more likely to make time to go and do a workout because they've just sort of been grown up with this support to allow them to go do the thing that they love. The majority of us didn't grow up with that kind of support, or we don't have that kind of strong support structure around us to enable us or allow us to sort of blossom and become what we want to be in terms of an endurance athlete. So it's just a lot harder if you're on your own. And so again, that's another reason I want to do these sessions and have the community, so that people don't have to be afraid or worry about asking a question to figure out, is this right? Is this wrong? Should I do this? Should I not do this? Am I too far behind? The more group support you can have, the more comfortable you feel sharing ideas so that you can get ideas back, the more likely you're going to be to follow through with consistency to get you to the goals that you want. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, I think I've pretty much talked about all of this. We're great at rationalizing. Nobody wants to think of themselves as not that I'm not moralizing the word bad in this way, but it's easy to rationalize anything, really. Like if you make a decision, you've got a story that supports that decision. And when I say story, I don't mean that good or bad, but pretty much everything that we've done in our lives to get to where we are right now, sitting here on this webinar, our current job, what we did last weekend, we have rationale for all of that. There are reasons that we made to make those decisions. And so we can use that process of being able to rationalize and create stories to direct our lives where we want it to go. And in this case, in this topic, it's completing a triathlon or getting faster to triathlon. And it doesn't have to be as scary as it feels. Archie, come here, buddy. Yeah, and so like I mentioned before, at least elite athletes, they don't experience less resistance. They just have learned how to manage it better. They've got way more practice at recognizing it. So they're much more likely to even not experience the resistance, just because they immediately go to the positive role model of themselves, the story that they're telling themselves. Like, well, this is just what I do. I do my long run on Saturday mornings. They don't even stop to think that there's something else to do, like maybe I should mow the grass instead. Mowing the grass becomes secondary to doing their long ride or their long race. Questions about resistance. We're going to talk more about self-talk and identity in the upcoming weeks, but just in terms of the types of things you might be experiencing, anything you want to comment on?
I mean, I do use self-talk a lot. Like I, I tell myself, like when it's hard in the moment, you're like, oh, just get through this moment. You'll be grateful you did, or you'll be, you know, think about the goal and like how to achieve there. So I do like when things do get hard, or if I'm feeling like something's particularly tough, then yeah, oftentimes I'll pull out the self-talk and just, like let's reframe it, let's rethink about it, let's put it a different way,
Mm-hmm.
and usually that gets me through.
Yeah, good. And when you get through, meaning you've done the workout, I'm guessing?
Yeah, done the workout, or we'll retry it. Like if it didn't work out, or if like something went wrong, or I wasn't feeling particularly good about it, like I'll just like, oh well, just we'll get there,
Yeah.
and like especially at the beginning, like when I was like trying to like figure out a Garmin watch and figure out my bike computer, and like all of this information was coming at me, and I'm like, I don't know how to set this up, I don't know how to do it.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be okay. Just go do the thing. Like the basic
Yep.
thing is to do the thing. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what it comes out on the end. It doesn't
Yep.
matter that, it's not perfect. Just do the thing and the rest will come along. And it has been coming along as I've been progressing. So,
That's great. Yep. That's perfect.
yeah. But just, yeah, stop sweating it. Just do the thing, no matter what it looks like.
Yeah.
Just do it. Yeah.
One thing's kind of similar to that that helps me is so I have two dogs. I think all of you have
Hmm.
pets. Um, the dogs don't have laundry. The dogs don't have to go grocery shopping. They don't have bills. They don't have to fix dinner. They don't even have to put like shoes and socks on. They are always ready to go at the drop of a
Hmm.
hat. So what am I doing? Delaying their walk, which is
Hmm.
like the best thing that happens to them. Like literally the best thing every day is going on a 15-minute walk to sniff and pee and poop around the neighborhood. Um,
Hmm.
or if you're Archie, he doesn't need to go on a walk. He can just look outside and watch other dogs walking and bark and have the time of his life. So, when I think about them and, it's my job, I have these dogs and my job is to take care of them. Why am I paying a bill in front of that? Why am I putting, laundry or food? Like, because usually it's just me, um, what's the word? Ruminating over doing things and not actually getting things done. So I might as well go on the walk. I can ruminate while I'm walking. So I use tricks like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. All right. Let's go to training. Hey, Luann, how are you? I noticed you turned your video on, so I wondered if you wanted to say anything.
Yeah, hey, I just fixed dinner for, 5-year-old before cheer. Yay. Um, my thought on that was that I have a raise coming up in 5 weeks. Haven't done anything in a year and a half. And I'm like, the last 2 weeks, it's been, 110 degrees. I live in Arizona and I just haven't gotten out for an outside run or an outside bike. I just haven't done it. I've got my swims in, got my strength training in, but all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, how many weeks? And then I'm like, Luann, like you could go do a sprint like without training and it'd be fine.
Hmm.
You can do this. Like, calm down. It's going to be fine. You'll start with the early people at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do this. But, I just kind of get wrapped up in the
Hmm.
little nonsense head talk. And then I'm like, no, it'll be fine. You can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my 2 cents.
Yeah. No, and that's great. It's almost like you've got a baseline. You know that your floor is that you can complete a sprint. And I think that a lot of people who are reasonably fit without injuries could complete a sprint. It's just about pacing. How, assuming you get through the swim. But maybe you're not gonna do the bike ride in less than an hour. Or maybe you can't not gonna do the 5K in less than 30 minutes, but you could ride 12 miles, you could ambulate 5K in some period of time, right? It might be a 3 or 4 hour bike ride, and it might be a 1 hour 5K, but you can do it. And if you take that idea, it just becomes sort of a matter of like, stretching or shrinking your time expectation. And, people who are, younger, stronger, faster, just at baseline, their time expectation is shorter. And what they may think is a disaster, I might think would be a huge success. It might be my, my best outcome. So adjusting your expectations. Yeah, I know I'm going to finish. And so everything else is kind of secondary. It reduces the stress load. When you reduce the stress load, it makes it more likely that you're going to actually go do something because you're less stressed about doing it the right way or the best way.
One of the things that I think is fun, because for example, in my strength class, like I'm the oldest person in my strength class. And I
Yeah.
was talking to a woman yesterday who is, 23 years my junior. And we were talking about something. I was like, yeah, I'm closer to 70 than I am to 65. And she's like, oh my gosh. And I was like, yeah, and I have a triathlon coming up. And it's not, is it bragging? Probably, but just feels good to be able
Yeah.
to say to people, oh, I'm doing a triathlon at the end of August in Arizona. There is that
Yeah.
caveat. But
Right.
it's kind of my little